Same thing goes here, David and Joe. The top first place finish goes on to the grand final. The next two go to the repecharges, and the next best place to the petite finals. So what we have in here, we have the Miami Rowing Club B boat, which is at the far lane. That is going to be lane 3 on the other side of the course. Lake Brantley in lane 4, Plant High School in lane 5, Winter Park in lane 6, and closest to us will be Tampa Prep. You were talking about that Miami Rowing Club boat there, putting in that last 10 strokes with a little bit higher rating just to test themselves. One of the things that you don't want to have your teams do is, and it's common, is you get down to the end of the race and you're tired and you're getting tunnel vision. You want to know where you are, and you want to look out of the boat really bad. Like, where's that finish line? I'm about over this, and you don't want to do that. That's something the coaches have to make sure as best they can that tell your crews do not look out of the boat. And David, you mentioned a telephone pole going by or some other kind of thing that catches your peripheral. Catching your peripheral is a good thing, but if you're turning to look for those markers, that's not a good thing. That's when we see sometimes where someone will catch a crab. They might be leading, or even in a qualifying position, they'll catch a crab or the oar gets stuck in the water for that stroke and they drop out. And so that's the scary part about having to look out of your boat, or wanting to look out of your boat when you know you're close and you're thinking that finish line is right there, or where is it? And that's a no-no.
Yeah, realistically, Casey, in a Cox boat, it really should be up to the coxswain to be calling out sort of the meter markers and keeping the rowers informed. It's more so in, as you know, in the sculling boats where you don't have a coxswain, where the athletes may be sort of looking for landmarks to some extent a little bit more because they are motivating themselves as they go down the race course. And we're seeing these freshman fours, they're getting into position here. What they're doing is called sculling, where we talked about it before. The rower is going to grab the oar behind him and on the port side to try to get these boats around as they're getting pushed a little bit by our easterly wind.
So, David, why would that kid from that one crew, it looks like he's from Oars, why would the two-person scull around rather than just have the bow person row? Well,
Joe, good question. And Casey sort of alluded to it earlier. You want to kind of do what you can to make sure you see these humans in this overhead shot that are actually holding the sterns of the boats. So if you take a stroke, you are propelling the boat down the race course, even if it's just one stroke from the bow person or the two-person to try to get the boat straight. It will have the effect of propelling the bow to get straight. However, it also will push the boat away from the stake boat holder, the human that is holding the boat on these volunteers that do this. So that's why they scull it, because it does not pull the boat away from that stake boat holder that you've got a great camera shot of there holding the stern. You see that he doesn't have to do a whole heck of a lot if it's just being sculled around. So we'll give it to you, Casey, as a little bit of an interesting start there from Plant High School.
Yeah, did you see that? Again, that was the same kind of thing where you got sculling around and they weren't able to get into position when they dropped the flag, and that's 100% awareness. You got to move quickly when you're moving that, when you get that boat sculled around. When they say get ready or whatever it is, you've got to get in position right away. And unfortunately, was it Plant High School wasn't able to do that, and I think it caught everybody's surprised. I saw some of the kids turn around and look like, oh my gosh, they went, and we're behind. So there you go. It's we've seen it more than once here today. So back to the race itself. Lane 7, Tampa Prep in the red boat closest to us has that lead. They're rowing, let's see what they got here, 35.5 strokes a minute. Over on the far side of the course, it is Miami Rowing Club B boat and Lake Brantley, basically bow to bow. It might be that Miami Rowing Club and the white boat on the far side has a little bit now, getting a little bit more out of it, maybe a deck length. They're moving maybe a half a foot or a few inches per stroke. Lake Brantley trying to hold that move off. Here in lane 6, Winter Park, now open water down on the top 3 crews. Again, your number 1 crew is going to go through. The crew on the far side that won the last one, or Miami won the last race, Miami B boat here, is not going to let Tampa Prep closest to us get away from them. It is bow to stern, one boat length that separates those two, and it's a half a length between Miami Rowing Club B boat and the Lake Brantley High School boat. So as we come to the 1,000 meters to go, it is inside here, closest to us, Tampa Prep in the red boat that is leading, but on the far side, of course, that Miami Rowing Club B boat seems to be hauling them in. Going to turn it over to you guys.
Excellent. Thank you, Casey. One of the things that we're seeing is that the crew from Tampa Prep, who's in our lead in the red boat, which we'll see shortly right now when we go to our drone picture, we're going to see how their oars come out of the water and are very, very clean. The puddles are very, very precise, and you're not feeling the blades drain or drag across the water. But if you look at some of the other crews, you can see as the oars are starting to go up towards the catch where they apply the pressure, they drag on the water. And every time that oar drags on the water rather than going through the air, it really slows you down. And that is in the real benefit right now to our crew from Tampa Prep, who has open water back to Miami at the top of our screen out there in lane 3, and Lake Brantley, who is in lane 4, about a half a length of open water between them and Miami Rowing Club, Plant and Winter Park Trail. Now, it is significant here that the top 3 crews are important. Number 1, first going across the line, will go straight to the final, which means that they do not have to row again. They can rest. The next 2 crews, which will be second and third in this heat, are going to go to the repechage, or second chance. And that means that they will have an opportunity to get into the final if they row fast enough in the rep, or repechage. The next crew goes into the B final, or the without having an opportunity to become state champions. So right now, our crew in the lead is Tampa Prep, but Miami Rowing Club up at the top of our screen is really starting to make a move. We'll see whether or not they can overtake Tampa Prep. Lake Brantley, as you can see, has dropped off, but they have a couple lengths of open water back to Winter Park in 4th.
So we see Miami Rowing Club B. We just saw the A boat come across the line and get into the A final. Can the B boat do the same? That's kind of what it's coming down to here, with Tampa Prep trying to hold them off. Tampa Prep closest to the camera. Red boat. It's Miami Rowing Club B up at the top of the screen in the white boat. This one is probably going to come right down to it, Joe. I'll tell you what, if I like the positioning of the Miami boat. If I'm that coxswain, I'm pretty excited about the last 300 meters, because I'm telling my rowers, all we've got to do is change the speed just a little bit. We've only got to track down about 3 seats to get ourselves into the A final with that A boat. But now, as soon as I start to say that, it looks like Tampa Prep is starting to move away as Miami lost a little bit of their course. But here we go. As they come 200 meters from the line, 25 strokes to the finish line. Can Miami track down Tampa Prep? Top boat is going to go to the A final and not row 3 times here at this regatta. And the second place boat will have to row in that repechage. Can Miami track them down? It's been Tampa Prep. They're trying to go start to finish and hang on.
Well, I can look over and see the Miami coxswain. She's looking over to the right. She's telling her crew. Both coxswains are looking at each other. They know exactly what's going on. Oh, man, look at Tampa Prep. There's some serious puddles. That 2-man has found another gear. He is an animal. Wow. Tampa Prep holds on to win the boys freshman heat, second heat, the boys freshman 4, second heat, and that 2-man found some power. It looks like they had to start and had to go back.
If you're watching this here, we've had a clash of oars between South Orlando and Cape Coral, it looks like, and they have called the race. And we are sitting now just a few meters shy of the 250-meter mark. I know it took a couple of seconds, for them to get the lead boats to stop rowing, but we were already past these 2 crews when they clashed, and I think we turned around and looked at where are they, and here they are tied up with their blades. So interesting here. We've had another incident where there was an actual contact, and they're calling the boats back to the starting line. So look for maybe what they did earlier, where they bring this girls' first freshman 8 repechage, which is the next event, to the line. I don't know if they'll do that. We'll wait and see what they say here. But tough break for these crews. Hopefully it didn't hurt anything, no breakage or anybody injured. But blades clacking together like that can be pretty scary out there. Yeah, looks like one boat lost its bow number, maybe its bow ball. We'll see what the referees, if they are able to do anything about it, but that is South Orlando that lost their bow number.
It looks like a
So
resolute.
we're heading back to the line. They're not yet taking them off the side of the course, so it looks like they're going to put them back in the starting blocks and run it again.
Yeah, this is a boys freshman 4 rep. 3 places go to the final, and the remaining crews go to the petite or B final. So this is a 6-boat race, and as Casey said, it appears that they are trusting these crews in order to maneuver as necessary to back in to the stake boats and get ready to go. So as we watch right now, we can see how these crews turn on a dime and give a nickel change. And what's called nice backing down on that turquoise boat, which is close to us, is from Sebastian River. And they are the first ones on. That's a sign of a nicely schooled crew. And we could see the crew from
Joe, as they did this, they spun around and got back in here. I looked at the time for the start of this race, which is 3:46, and that's what it is right now. So they started them early, and that's probably why they brought them right back to the blocks, because they're very close to the original starting time for this event.
Well, they had a little gravy, and they made something out of it.
Locked up. Yeah.
Well, this is going to be really tight because you already have a crew that's on the bottom right, and that will be Sebastian River. And Miami's going to try to come in and back in, which they're doing quite nicely. See if they're. Oh, look at that! That was a money move by them in order to put their stern right in the hand of that stake boat person. And next to come in is Cape Coral, and already on is Sora with that black boat. And then looking further to the left is Lake Brantley, and then the Sebastian River B entry has got a little bit of work to do in order to get their bow pointed about another 40, 45 degrees further to the right. And as we watch, we can
we're
see
getting a little bit more.
Go ahead.
Sorry, we're getting a little more gusty winds up here, just a little burst of wind up here, so you might have a little more sculling around to bring these boats in line. But this wind comes and goes. I think it's trying to die out, Joe, is what we're expecting. It's just not going to – it's trying to blow hard, but it can't do it all the time. So sometimes you'll see these boats get a little bit of puff going, a little harder puff going across. Sometimes it eases up.
It's amazing how fast those boats swing. That bottom boat, the Sebastian River A boat, you know, they were pushed like about 40 degrees, actually up into the wind. And with that stake boat person holding their stern, as soon as they stopped paddling with 3 holding 2's oar, that wind just blew that bow around like a big dog. So we'll see. Right now, it looks like they're about ready to hand them back and see what happens.
So they're pointing way up into the wind, more so than I've seen any other crew today do that. We don't have alignment yet, and partly because their bow is so far over towards the attenuator, it's not level with the other crews. So now we have an alignment flag up. Starters are, someone's facing the other direction. He's calling other crews. The starter flag is up again, and we have a start. So good again. Everyone's starting at the same time. Again, the coaches taught them to watch the flag, and so no one's left behind on these starts. So my guess is the nervousness probably came out, and those boats are close again over there, and they stopped rowing again. Let's see if they stop the race, if they keep it going. This is twice now the same boats have collided or clashed. They're not stopping the race this time, Joe. They're going to keep going. That's it for them. And they're moving again. They stopped, wondering what's going to happen. And when they weren't calling it this time, they got going again. So the two boats that clashed for the second time are now back rowing again. So let's go back to what's happening with our leaders. This is for 3 to go on. And our 3 leaders are Sebastian River and also Miami Rowing Club. And in lane, let's see, lane 3, that's Lake Brantley. These bows are all within a deck length of each other. And those 3 boats have broken clear of Sebastian River B boat. The 2 boats that clashed are now trying to at least get back up into Sebastian River B. And that would be Cape Coral that's closest to doing so. It is South Orlando that is trailing that group at this point. So bows level across here within 3 feet of each other between Sebastian River A boat, the Miami Rowing Club, which now has about a 1 foot lead over Lake Brantley on the far side. The Sebastian River A boat slipping back just to a deck length behind those two. So as we come to the 1,000 meters, you'll see it on the cameras here. It is a deck length for Miami Rowing Club now as they cross the 1,000 meter mark and basically level for Lake Brantley and Miami Rowing Club. Over to the finish line.
Excellent call. Well, it looks like there was some kind of affinity between the crews from Sora and Cape Coral because they kept on wanting to meet each other about 10 strokes off the start line. Anyway, that's all been taken care of. They decided to let them go, and they are going. So our leaders right now, as Casey so clearly said, are Miami Rowing Club, Sebastian River, and Lake Brantley. If it remains the same, all 3 of these boats can comfortably go into the finals. So we're going to see what happens, whether or not they exert a lot of pressure or whether or not they just cruise. Now, if I were in that Miami boat right there that has the lead, I would feel pretty good because I can look back and I can see off my starboard side the Sebastian River crew and look over there on my port side and see the Lake Brantley crew, and then behind me see the other 3 boats. So just by feeling that, I'm going to feel a little boost of energy, a little positive vibe, and it's going to help me kind of feel good as we enter the second half of this race.
Yeah, just given any of those 3 boats that are out in front, because it's 3 spots to the finals, are looking back and they're seeing at least 3 other boats, and they know that they're in a spot, right? So I'm just remembering this morning's heats with Miami Rowing Club B. They were like winning their heat almost all the way down. We had watched their A boat go straight to the final. And so I expected this to be a pretty fast boat in the repechage. But again, you're looking at your 3 that would move through. It is a progression of 3 that are going to go to the A final in the boys freshman 4 boat class. In the middle of the screen is Miami Rowing Club. They're sitting in first place. It's Miami Rowing Club's B entry. And just below on the bottom center of the screen, that is Sebastian River. They're sitting in a solid second place, and you can see the gap between Sebastian River and Lake Brantley that's up there at the top center of the screen, sitting in third place, is pretty considerable at this point, 2 or 3 boat lengths of open water. However, Lake Brantley's lead for third place for a qualifying spot over fourth place, which looks like Cape Coral, is also considerable. As we pan over, you can see it's about 3 boat lengths of open water, Joe. So it is very spaced out. We do sort of have the 3 that are out in front. Really probably the only boat with a chance is Cape Coral, but I think it's going to be very difficult because these boats are into, your leader's actually into the last 250, but these boats are into the last 350 meters.
Yep. And their coaches told them, okay, let's go ahead and practice for tomorrow. And we'll start our move at the 250, which is what these 2 crews in the lead are doing right now, and that is Sebastian River and Miami. So they are just kind of cleaning out the cobwebs. Let's practice the last 45 strokes and get ready for tomorrow, which is what they are doing.
So it continues to be Miami Rowing Club B, continues to be Sebastian River and Lake Brantley High School, your top three in the boys freshman for repechage, the second chance qualifier. Those three boats, if they can hang on to it in the last 15 strokes for Lake Brantley, the last 2 strokes for Miami, the last 4 strokes for Sebastian River, will move through to the A final and row for the medals tomorrow in the boys freshman for boat class at the 2022 FSRA Sweep Championships from Nathan Benderson Park. We see this great shot drone from the side and above of these 6 boats getting ready to roll here in the boys freshman for a final. Let me set the field for you. So as it sort of pans in, you've got your 6 boats ready. You can see how they're going to try to get aligned. They're going to try to be pointed straight down their lanes. And as soon as all of that happens, the race will get going from the bottom of the screen to the top of the screen. Lane 7, Miami Rowing Club. Lane 6 in the red boat, Tampa Prep. Lane 5 is First Coast. Lane 4 is Miami Rowing Club's B entry. Then the blue boat in lane 3 is Sebastian River. And in lane 2 is Lake Brantley. So 2 boats from Miami Rowing Club trying to go for medals here. The A boat having qualified as one of the top 2 qualifiers. And the B boat sitting there in lane 4 being one of the next qualifiers. So can Miami take home 2 medals in the boys freshman 4? That's one of the storylines going into this one as you see all the athletes getting ready to roll.
That would be really something, David, if Miami was able to pull that one off. That might be well, it wouldn't be a first out here because I know Sarasota's done that, but still, that's pretty special for a program to be able to do that, just pull off, first and second or even any of the medals by an A and B boat. We'll see what happens here.
Yeah, I know Miami's put emphasis on the 4s, but maybe they ought to put them all in an 8.
Yeah. All right, so I was watching lane 4. Coxswain was actually sitting up, turned around, and didn't realize that the start was going to happen. And when they said go, she was like, oh my gosh, and kind of dropped back down to the boat. So she wasn't ready. All the other ones before, they finished pulling the cruise, they actually laid down in the boat like you would be just your head sticking up above the wash box so you can see what's going on. So kicking it out of the start line here is Miami Rowing Club A boat. Half a length lead. They're basically tied with the Miami B boat over there in the blue. Here in lane 6, Tampa Prep with a half a deck length lead. And lane 4 also right in there with Miami. Oh, that is the Miami B boat. It was Sebastian River in the blue boat over there. Trailing the group here is First Coast a little bit. They're basically level with, they're up on lane 2 a little bit, Lake Brantley, but they're probably in 4th or 5th spot. And now they are look like they're fairly level with the Miami B boat. There's a Miami A boat now with open water on the field. We went through that 250 just about 100 meters ago. Miami A boat now opening up a little bit more on Miami Rowing Club B. This is in the white boat in the middle of the course. So you have a first and second right now with the Miami Cruise. Who's going to challenge him is Tampa Prep in lane 6. Is about a quarter length, maybe a half a length down on the Miami B boat. Miami B boat stroking pretty high, 38 strokes a minute. That is going to be a little hard to sustain. Those 3 boats now with breaking open water on the trailing 3 boats. The trailing 3 boats all overlapping within a quarter length of each other. You can see it from the cameras now that it could be what we said. You could conceivably have 2 Miami boats in the medals, possibly even gold and silver. Over to you.
Through 500 meters, Casey, as you called it. It's Miami A ahead of Miami B. Sitting in the top 2 medal positions in the boys freshman 4. Third place is that red boat in lane 6, which is Tampa Prep. A good row being had on the outside by Lake Brantley has them really well connected with Tampa Prep as they come through and approach the halfway point. Miami A is going to be hard to catch. They are way out in front at this point, almost 30 clear meters ahead of Miami B, their teammates. Miami B now has open water on this race. It's getting much, much closer between Tampa Prep and Lake Brantley. Tampa Prep maybe has about 10 feet on Lake Brantley. As you can see at the top of the screen, they're coming through the halfway point. That was the 7:50 to go sign, or 12:50 sign out here on our 2,000-meter race course at Nathan Benderson Park. But it's a really clinical row up front by Miami A, and every time they drop in the water, you can sort of just see, if you keep them in your peripheral vision and you kind of focus on where the bow is of Miami B, you can just continue to see Miami A move away from the field. So every time they drop in, they're taking about 6 inches, and they just continue to extend the lead, does Miami A. So they're going to be hard to catch. Is anybody, as we now see Tampa Prep sort of winding it up, are they going to be able to try to track down Miami B? Are we going to have 2 Miami Rowing Club medals here at the top of the stand? It is Tampa Prep sitting in 3rd place. Starting to challenge now and really putting some speed on is Sebastian River. In fact, Sebastian River going from 5th place. I think they're now in 4th place. I think they have passed Lake Brantley. Either way, it is very close. You see that on the left side of the screen. They are now stroke for stroke as Lake Brantley, the white boat far left, just to the right of them on the screen. If you are watching here at Nathan Benderson Park or at home in the blue boat, that is the boat from Sebastian River. And I think Lake Brantley hurt me because they started to wind it up and started to maybe take 4th place back. But it is still the 2 Miami crews. And certainly the freshman coach at Miami Rowing Club is going to be very pleased if the 2 entries here end up winning the gold and silver medals, and it almost is already in the bag, as there is so much open water between Miami A and Miami B. But you can see, I just saw them start to take it up at the red buoys. Miami A, they're not going to be caught, and the rowing is so clinical. It does not look like a freshman boat. Super well coached boat from Miami A is going to win the gold medal, 20 strokes from the line here in the boys freshman 4. Miami B is not going to be caught, I don't believe, unless they have, barring some sort of major mistake, some boat-stopping crab. They are going to win the silver. Pretty unbelievable what we are seeing happen here from Miami Rowing Club. Behind them, it's still Tampa Prep, but now they are starting to really be challenged on the outside by both Sebastian River and Lake Brantley. And are those 2 boats going to get into the mix? Tampa Prep still solidly holding on to the bronze medal. Your state champions, Miami A, coming through the line and just doing it in tremendous style. And it's Miami B taking home the silver medal. So the gold and silver medals to Miami Rowing Club in the boys freshman 4. And it is going to be Tampa Prep holding on unofficially to win the bronze medal in the boys freshman 4, just ahead of this blue boat from Sebastian River, who will finish about a length ahead of Lake Brantley High School, who will finish ahead of First Coast. So that's your order. That's your finish in the boys freshman 4 grand final at the 2022 FSRA Sweep Championships from Nathan Benderson Park. And before we go to just a short break, before we have our next event on the race course, I want to remind everybody to like Nathan Benderson Park on Facebook and Instagram. The handle is at Nathan Benderson Park. And on Twitter, where the handle is at MyNBP. And check in at the park while you're here. And if you're posting, use the hashtags, hashtag MyNBP and hashtag FSRA Sweeps. As you see some nice shots of all the apparatus here at Nathan Benderson Park.